Anne Krinsky, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my work with archives. Called The Narrative Thread, Women's Embroidery from Rural India. And the reason my attention was grabbed by that is that I had been to India a year ago on an Artists International Development Fund grant to research traditional textiles. I'm not a textile artist, and I don't plan to pick up a needle and thread anytime soon, but my work has a lot to do with pattern and geometry. So when I was in India, the fabrics that most appealed to me were an embroidery tradition from Punjab called fulkari, which used a lot of very high key colors, oranges and reds and yellows, and diagonal grids. And I did a series of acrylic paintings when I came back with those elements. And in this case, I basically moved over those grids from the paintings into digital print. So I took some of the materials that I scanned and that made it into the prints, and we put them in the showcases out here, so you can see the origin. So this was the article, The Narrative Thread. It appeared in a publication called Women in the Arts that's put out by the National Museum of Women in the Arts in Washington, D.C. And that was the starting point. This image I've used quite a bit. I think of working in an archive as it's a way to do something you wouldn't do normally. I like to say that I've ended up making work in this project which left to my own devices I never would have made.
The way you kind of connected, this kind of material, the reproduced stuff, into another way of reproducing it that actually makes it gorgeous and precious and tactile and not feel reproducible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here's the image of this woman diving off the book structure. And we realized after the fact, I should have checked on this first, but this image in the magazine was completely unattributed. The illustrator's name was not in the magazine.
And yet people, when they see this, I mean, some people see this and they think, oh, that's really familiar.
But the idea of designing something small and then having a button pushed and having it come out at a completely different scale, and when we go over to the other building to see the scrolls, you'll see what I mean by, they're almost 3 meters high. So that's it's alchemy. Which always happens when you make something anyway, but the idea of designing it on a small screen and having it printed out huge, it's just very interesting. Yeah. And in the large scrolls, I took sort of excerpts of things that I had either already used in a print or used in designing something that I never printed out, but again, blowing things up to a larger scale. There are also some photographs in here from the archive. So this, for instance, is just a photograph of like an accordion file from the archive, blown up large, and a photo of the boxes that house the magazines with the labels of what the publications were. The roll of paper is 44 inches wide, and that's the full width of it. And then I guess these came off of a roll that was 20 meters in length. No, it was 12 meters in length. So I had the four scrolls out of that roll of paper. But you could have printed on the entire 12 meters.
It just can carry on.
It